Come on!
Dun 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 dun. When I see this movie, wasted my money, wasted hours of my life. Please stop making these boring movies. They go on forever, they fill me with strife. You could have spent that money to save a small village. Dun 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 dun. Piece of shit.
I'm not looking for trouble.
What a horrible way to live.
The movie is not a piece of shit, but it's very arduous an experience. I was falling asleep very, very quickly in the cinema. I had to really physically get myself to wake up. I nearly left the cinema within the first 30-40 minutes. And I thought, you know what, it's going to get more interesting. There's probably some enormous spectacle, something grandiose and incredible that's going to be worth sitting through this schlock for. And there wasn't. When I kind of came out, you know, there was a big finale as expected, but I thought, you know, that was kind of a waste of time. Now, the problem with the movie mainly, which I could tell and I could feel and I was conscious of immediately, is it's a case of too many cooks spoiling the broth. It's always nice when you watch a movie and you could tell that it's a singular vision. You can tell that there's a writer who's got a story that they want to put across, and there's a director who's got a story that they want to tell, and it's best often when the writer and director are the same person. What's very clear when you watch this new Pirates of the Caribbean is that there are lots of writers, and it came as no surprise when the movie ended and the credits began, and it has two directors who I imagine may even have been at odds with each other in some shape or form. But essentially this is assembly line cinema. It's very polished, it's very expensive, it's very glossy, but it's very clear as well that it feels as if it's like, okay, we got the cast who are competent, so let's just let them do their thing. We got Johnny Depp, we'll just let him do his thing. We got an expensive, very professional cinematographer, so just let them do whatever they kind of want. We've got amazing set pieces, construction workers, we've got great set designers, so we'll just let them do their thing. And the special effects team are excellent. And what my point is this is all different people, different teams, and nothing is singular. You do not at any point feel as if you've got one person being like, this is the story I want to tell and this is how I want to tell it. It's almost as if, like, it's not boring, it's exhausting. Because it's exhausting in a way like sitting in a room and having 15 people talk to you all at once. And it's so difficult to kind of focus on any one thing, because you're sort of like, I'd like to pay attention to Johnny Depp's performance, but maybe I should pay attention to the amazing special effects. And oh wait, there's this story, and oh wait, there's this story, and oh wait, Javier Bardem has this amazing special effect on his hair. Let me pay attention to that. And it feels like later Simpsons episodes. Now the Simpsons, it doesn't actually feel like the Simpsons, but in tone, early Simpsons episodes were very controlled, predominantly because they were strict about having one key writer. In the early years it was a guy called Sam Simon, and he was the guy who had the final say on every episode. And in later seasons they had like 50 producers and 50 writers, and you got that sense that you were watching a show that had a staff of so many people who all wanted to have their say, and everyone wanted to have their jokes in. And for that reason, some of those kind of midway and later Simpsons episodes are a little bit exhausting, because it is the same thing. It's like having 50 people yelling at you all at once, when I'm convinced that the human brain is so much more happy when it can deal with one thing at a time. Like when you read a book, you are getting into the head of one person, not 50 people, and it's nice to connect on it. Even in relationships, you know, guys and girls, it only takes one person to fall in love with. And I do feel like when you watch a great film, you kind of fall in love with it, and what you're falling in love with is the person who created it. In any kind of artistic medium, really. If you love the work of Picasso, you love Picasso. If you love the work of Quentin Tarantino, you love Quentin Tarantino. If you love the Harry Potter books, you love J.K. Rowling. It's not Harry Potter and Hermione Granger who you're in love with, really. It's the writer who created them.
I got there, I looked up at the top of the stairs. There were a bunch of tourists up there who were gathered for a tour, I guess. But all of a sudden they turned and walked down the stairs to me. And all 20 of these tourists were holding a copy of the Martian Chronicles. Huh? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? They were my lovers. They were my lovers. I'd never seen them before. And they handed their books over to be signed.
So it's annoying when you get works that are made by this kind of almost abundance of people who you cannot differentiate, and it is literally just like being in a room and having 15-20 people shouting their ideas at you. One of my favourite writers, Ray Bradbury, mentioned this in a lecture that he gave once where he talked about modern Hollywood, and he said the metaphors are scattered because they are conceived in boardrooms with lots of people sitting around saying what's going to make a success, and all of these people try and have their input, and what you get ultimately is a case of too many cooks spoiling the broth, and it's difficult to focus on, and it's exhausting. And that's what this film is. You kind of think, God, it should be good, but it's not. It's just so much flash, so much money, and kind of so much wasted potential. It doesn't even have a moral that kind of sticks out, if there is one. I didn't get it. And ultimately, I don't think I can put it any better than, it's not boring, it's exhausting. It's draining. I came out of the cinema in the afternoon and the sun was still up, and I was just sort of like, where's my bed? Because I want to climb into it, and I would like to be rocked to sleep like somebody in a hammock on a ship in the ocean, because my dreams would be a wonderful vacation and a wonderful solace and a wonderful remedy to the enormous pirate insanity that I just endured. And I just can't help thinking with a film like this that you could have taken that budget and given it to 100 young filmmakers and gotten 100 potentially great little films out of it, as opposed to this enormous Disney theme park inspired spectacle that just makes you ultimately drowsy.
You will pay for what you did to me.
That being said, I was not a huge fan of the original Pirates of the Caribbean either. Everyone loved that movie. I rushed to see it in the cinema. I couldn't wait to see it because of the hype, because of the reviews. And I thought it was actually quite an uninspired, unoriginal, unimaginative movie, because I was comparing it to things like The Goonies and even Pirates by Roman Polanski, and I just felt like in the first movie it's like very little happens. They just kind of end up on an island and the film grinds to a halt. And I was like, where's the secret caverns and the secret passageways and the treasure chests and the booby traps, and where's all that cool pirate stuff? It was like the whole movie just rests upon the shoulders of Johnny Depp giving a good performance, which he does, but to me that does not make a great movie. It's just a really good performance. If you've seen animes like One Piece, or even kids cartoons like Mysterious Cities of Gold, the first Pirates of the Caribbean film, in terms of actual creativity, imagination and adventure, significantly pales in comparison. Now, as for Johnny Depp's performance in this movie, it's good. It feels again like it's an undirected performance, like the directors just went, here you go Johnny, do whatever you want, you're clearly the star of this movie, you are the vehicle that's going to get the audience to come in. If you weren't in this movie, we probably wouldn't even make it, so do whatever you want. And the result is he's an entertaining, bumbling buffoon. A lot of his jokes don't hit, they're not that funny. Some of them are funny. He is good because he's Johnny Depp and he is really good. At one point his accent drops straight into Australian, which is strange. It literally just, he's just talking in an Australian accent for no reason, and it's unintentional, I'm quite sure. And as for what's good about his performance in this, he actually feels like he's imitating Russell Brand, but I would much rather watch Russell Brand being Russell Brand than watching Johnny Depp imitating Russell Brand. Essentially, it's that Jerry Bruckheimer gloss and money when Bruckheimer as producer just throws cash at things and they suddenly shine. But does that make for an entertaining, artistic film that has something to say, that has something that sticks, something that stays with you, something that potentially uplifts your spirit and in some way affects your life in a way that you will remember, at least on an emotional level? No.
From this moment on, we are to be allies. Considering where your left hand is, I'd say we're more than that.
Welcome to the closing.
Essentially, if you want to see a kind of tepid Russell Brand impression with moments of Australian in the centre of an incredibly meandering, wild, action-packed pirate spectacle that doesn't have any real clear focus at all and will probably send you to sleep if you wake up and you have your emotional battery at maximum and you feel like having that battery drained so that you can barely keep your eyes open after the 2 hours, however long this movie runs, then go and see it, because it's draining.
Monkey.
Anyway, that's Pirates of the Caribbean. I hope you are well.